Now, the conclusion of your CDL test is one final segment, and that includes going out on the road. What we have here, we have Mr. Jack Kalinsky, which is an assistant. He's going to go out on the road and properly describe the on-road procedure, which include handling of a commercial vehicle in everyday traffic. You want to make sure you're signaling for lane changes. You want to make sure you signal early when you're making a turn. You want to make sure you're keeping the proper stopping distance between the vehicle in front of you. You want to make sure you're keeping the proper traveling distance from the vehicle in front of you. You want to make sure you're watching your signs from side to side. You also want to make sure that you're checking your mirrors every 12 to 15 seconds. Make sure you're keeping both hands on the steering wheel at all times. Make sure you're braking correctly. Now, this is an automatic transmission, so you don't have to worry about the shifting of the gears and that type of thing. But on some of the vehicles that you may be driving may consist of shifting gears and stuff like that. So you need to read your owner's manual and make sure that you know the proper way of shifting gears uphill, downhill, and regular driving. With that, we'll have Jack go out on the road and show you the proper procedure of handling a commercial vehicle in everyday traffic.
Hi, my name is Jack. I'm the instructor for the over the road and part of the skills test. First thing you want to do, and make sure this is very important, is that you fasten your seatbelt. That's the first thing you have to do in this order. Fasten your seatbelt. Make sure that the passenger has their seatbelt fastened also. Next thing you want to do is start your engine. Make sure you're in neutral. Start your engine. Check your gauges. Make sure all of your gauges are working properly. Listen for any kind of noises that are not normal. Listen for any type of noise that you're not used to. Smell in the training manual. It teaches you to listen and hear and smell for something that's unusual. Okay, we're going to go on the road. This is an automatic truck. Put it in gear, release the air brakes, and proceed. As we're driving, make sure when you're taking off that you don't take off in a hurry. You want to gradually put the accelerator to the floor to make sure your cargo is secure. You always want to keep your hands parallel to each other when you're driving. Keep a tight grip in case of any problems that come up. Using your signals for any turn. And when you're coming back, release them. This is not an automatic turn off, so you have to manually do it. As we're coming out of the park, you'll check both ways on the road, make sure no vehicles are coming, and proceed with caution. Things that you look for in front of you are safety features. For instance, the people crossing this road up here. Make sure you have plenty of braking time when you're coming to a stop sign. Traffic is a little heavy today, so we'll do this best we can with the safety. Turning right, keep your truck close to the right-hand side and proceed out, keeping both hands on the wheel. As you're going down the road, you should check your mirrors periodically to make sure nobody's coming up on the right or left side of you. Keep your vehicle in the center of the line. Proceed with caution. We're approaching a stop sign, a stoplight ahead here. You want to start braking early to make sure that you have plenty of room between you and the cars in front. We're turning in and out of the intersection, heading back towards home base here. Be sure to keep both hands on the wheel like I told you before, and signal way ahead of time. Let the traffic know what you intend to do. When you're coming to a stop or a light, be sure to give yourself plenty of time to brake. The white lines are important. If you cross that white line while you're driving, the instructor may stop you from the test. All right, when you're at a stop, be sure that the truck is stabilized and you have your foot on the brake. Don't let the truck drift forward or backward. Keep your foot on the brake so there won't be any problems in the future. All right. Okay, as we're pulling off, you want to stay in the right lane when you're making a left-hand turn, if possible. Get the traffic on the inside, plenty of room to get around, and yourself to get around. Keep your eyes focused on the traffic ahead, and make sure that the distance between you and the traffic ahead is 12 to 15 seconds ahead of you at all times. You need that for braking when it comes to that situation. Your manual will explain the distance that you need to brake with a CDL truck at this size. Remember that the faster you go, the longer it takes for you to brake. And this vehicle is a lot heavier than the automobile, so you have to brake your vehicle much earlier than you would normally with a car. See right ahead there's a situation where there's a car off to the side of the road, could be coming on, and you want to slow down to avoid any kind of problem. Basically the instructor will tell you which way to go in plenty of time and let you know what to do in the future. Remember, when you're approaching a railroad track crossing, to go through the procedures that you read in your manual, and that is to slow down with your flashers, listen for any oncoming trains, and visually look out both sides. Listen and look. When you're changing lanes, make sure that you give plenty of time to the other vehicles to let them know that what your intentions are. Use your turn signals at all times, and keep alert with the mirrors in the rear, for the rear, and what's coming up on beside you. Again, both hands on the wheel. Make your turn smooth. Don't overpower it. Keep your hands on the wheel and keep control of your truck at all times. Basically, when you take your skills test and you take your road trip, it's similar to just driving a car, except you have to be alert and cautious of the equipment that you're driving. We're pulling into the lot in just a minute, and Mr. Moore will explain more.
And that portion of the video was the demonstration of on-road procedures that the NVA will be testing you for during the course of the examination. Remember the couple of key points that you have to remember. When you come to a railroad crossing, you want to remember with a commercial vehicle, you need to stop within 15 to 50 feet of the railroad crossing if you're driving a vehicle with hazmat material, or if you're driving a passenger bus. You must stop within 15 to 50 feet of the railroad crossing. As you proceed to the railroad crossing, you want to be able to slow down, roll your windows down, listen for anything coming, look both ways from left to right to make sure nothing's coming, and then proceed across the railroad crossing with your hazard lights on. Once you have completely got the vehicle across the railroad crossing, you turn your hazard lights off and you proceed on. Now, with a commercial vehicle that's not carrying hazmat material, or if it's not a passenger vehicle, if it's just a straight truck like the vehicle that we've trained on here today, what you have to do is slow down within 15 or 50 feet of the railroad crossing. You don't necessarily have to come to a complete stop. Just slow down, and as you approach the railroad crossing, you look both ways, roll the window down, listen, make sure nothing's coming, and proceed across the railroad crossing. We talked about turn signals. Make sure you're signaling for every turn. Make sure you turn in from the furthest lane. If you're making a right-hand turn from a double turn lane, you turn from the outside lane. Same thing with the right-hand turn. You turn from the outside lane. Here today, what we have demonstrated was the fact that if you take these key components in terms of testing, it will help you get through the commercial driver's license. We talked about the engine cab, which consists of an engine pre-trip, which included the fact that we checked the oil, we checked the dipsticks, we checked the coolant level. We did everything that was consistent with the engine itself. You know, we also talked about the cab itself. We talked about the main components inside the cab, which included checking your signals, checking your gauges, checking your lights, checking your windshield, as well as your mirrors. And remember, the one key component inside the cab itself is the air brake. Remember, the air brake test is total separate from the pre-trip itself. There's something that you must master in order to pass the air brake test. Now, the proper way of doing the air brake test, again, let's reiterate. First of all, you must make sure that the rear wheels are chalked. You must build your air pressure up to 120 psi. You must turn the vehicle off. Turn the vehicle back on to the on position. Push the air brake in. Hold your brake for 60 seconds. You want to make sure that you're watching your gauge for 60 seconds. Make sure you don't lose no more than 3 pounds of pressure in 60 seconds. When your 60 seconds is up, you fan the brake. And as you fan the brake, your air gauge drop down below 60 psi. Once you do that, the warning light comes on and the warning buzzer come on, and you continue to fan the brake until the air brake pop out. Remember, you always want to read up on that particular portion of the examination, because that could be an automatic failure if you fail to do it the correct way. As you walk down the side of the box, we talked about our reflectors, we talked about our battery. As we continue to walk around the vehicle, Tony, which is one of my assistants right here, he's doing an outside check, which includes checking the lug nuts, he's checking the tires, he's making sure, remember, the rear tires should have no less than 2 30-seconds of tire depth. The front tires have no less than 4 30-seconds of tire depth. We inspected the other side of the vehicle just like we inspected this side of the vehicle. We inspect the back part of the vehicle, which include the roll-up doors. We made sure it rolled up and down fairly easy. We checked the cables to the doors. We checked the rear lights. We opened the vehicle up, and then we explained to the instructor that if any cargo that was inside the vehicle, it was properly strapped to the vehicle itself. The other thing is, once we got to the skills test, remember the cones that's set up at your particular DMV indicate the fact that those are pedestrians or a vehicle. You cannot hit a vehicle just like you can't hit a pedestrian. Those cones represent a pedestrian or a vehicle. Remember to stay clear of those. During the demonstration of this videotape today, we have properly prepared you to take the skills test, the on-road test, the pre-trip, the maneuverability, and the on-road safety and skills. Now that you have these tools to take your commercial driver's license examination given by the Department of NVA, you are now ready for the workforce. A promising career